Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on Channel 1 Television. On The Point of View, get the right guests, ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you. It's 25 days to election 2024, and everybody is campaigning. Tonight, we're privileged to be talking to the man who leads the economic manifesto team for the current vice president and flag bearer for NPP. So, Dr. Assibey-Yeboah is our guest. He would come and talk to us as to why he believes his candidate has the best ideas and track record for Ghana's economy post-2024. Stay with us. Welcome back. So my guest is Dr. Assibey-Yeboah, who's been Member of Parliament for New Joabin South for 2 consecutive terms. He left Parliament 2021. He's an economist by training. His areas of specialization include macroeconomy. His PhD is from the University of Tennessee, International Economics, Monetary Economics, and Econometrics. And of course, he is a true blue NPP. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Do the manifesto guys also campaign, or you do more of the heavy lifting of the ideas? Because I know you guys were the ones writing the manifesto, and there are people who are on the field. So what's the division of labor like in a candidate team like this?
I guess that will be why I'm here right now. Yeah, so the manifesto itself, it took about 4 to 5 months to put it together. We started work early March, but everybody worked through the Assibey-Yeboah committee. He chaired the whole manifesto committee. So all the subcommittees will work. You go defend like a thesis, and then they will say, go and tidy this one up, go and revise this, back and forth 3 or 4 times before the final document was put together. It took about
3 to 4 months.
Yeah, to have chaired a committee consisting of Dr. Emmanuel Sean, Professor Jambafo, Dr. Kofi Kuledwa Preku, all of those people. Yeah. I thought it was such a massive vote of confidence in me, to ask me to do. There was a Kofi Nti, I would call them big people. Yeah. So.
Wow. So that was earlier in the year, and it took you 3 to 4 months to write this manifesto. Do you get a sense that this election, the manifestos have not been as topical? Because in 2020, there was a lot of manifesto discussion, 2016 as well. It seems from a media perspective as if the manifestos have not been at the center of the campaigns as much. I stand to be corrected.
I guess that's for the media to interrogate, for you to bring people like us on your shows and dig deep, ask the hardball questions. Because I've looked into the NDC manifesto. There are a lot of fantastic ideas, but it's all been broken down to 24-hour economy, So maybe between now and election day, there's opportunity for us
to correct that. Yeah. Could it be that maybe people are not as interested in manifestos because of the general cynicism about politicians and politics? Could that be part of the reason why maybe this year? Because, for example, if you look at the Afrobarometer, NCC, when people are asked what would determine your vote, they will say the track record and honesty of the candidate. That's number 1 and 2. Usually the promises are number 3 or 4. And so consistently, it's more like, if I trust the guy, I'll vote for him, as against if what he says appeals to me. That's pretty interesting.
In a sense, it depends on the big themes. You would recall that going into 2004, President Kufuor promised this national health insurance, and then he delivered. That was a big one, which still runs. And then Akufo-Addo started talking about free SHS in 2008, 2012. Finally, when he won power, he delivered on it. So what is the big theme from the NPP side? It's more of this digitalization after Ghana card, digital address system. Where do we go next? And for me, that's what runs through all of Baumia's messaging. That's the 4th industrial revolution. This is where we should go next.
So the big theme can be summarized into the digital economy.
Very well.
Some people think that is a departure from what propelled him to power. from 2014, 2015, 2016, he was very strong on the economy, simpliciter, which was at the front end for the 2016 victory. And now that he is gunning for number one, why should he move away, particularly when the economy is still an issue?
Yeah, but he is saying that you can't separate the digitalization from the economy per se. You know, it is the next level. So the soft infrastructure, if you like, you know, we've done the schools and hospitals, Agenda 111 and the rest. Now, how do we take advantage of digitalization to train our youth in digital skills, you know, fintech, all of these fantastic ideas out there? How do we take advantage of two as a country? So the economy is part of this whole digital drive. And you hear him talk about digitalizing the filing of taxes, for example, to take away the human element. Okay? And this flat tax that he's propounding, all of it is inherent in this new phase that he wants to take the economy. So,
but fair enough, but should the fundamentals of the economy not be at the basis so that the digitalization then becomes what you do after you fix the fundamentals? So the argument is that as we speak, the fundamentals are shaky. People are struggling. It's an economy election simpliciter. So to propose a digitalization agenda when you are having basic economic issues to deal with seems like, I don't know, you are going ahead of yourself.
I was putting it in big theme perspective, but there are, if you drill down into the manifesto, there are actually issues about jobs, okay, revenue issues. How do we rein in spending? All the things which derails the fundamentals. How do we, having been in office for 8 years and being at the head of the economic management team, I guess now he's talking about a fiscal council that would assess the plans put forward by Ministry of Finance, you know, so that we don't go back to overspending. It is the expenditure, the over expenditure, that derails all of these fundamentals, and then we are back to square one. So how can we put in measures to now, for instance, rein in spending, checkmate each other? So he's saying that, well, each year's budget, the new budget, will not be more than 105% of the previous year's revenue. So as a guide on himself, back to the fiscal responsibility rule, a deficit of less than 5%. You know, for me, those are key to taming inflation, to stabilizing the currency. When these are off the charts, we are all worse off.
So you are here on the ideas and the policies, but as I said in the surveys, people want to look at the man before his message. And the concern is that he presented himself as an economic solution man. And the 7.5 to 8 years have not borne him out. Because when people look at their life today, economically, they can't say they are better off than when the NPP took over in 2017.
But can we break his 7.5 years into two?
Okay.
And what did the NPP inherit? The NPP inherited an economy which was already at the IMF because it was hemorrhaging. And then in the first 3 years, you know, we brought the numbers down and they were good. Then when we talk about it, people say, oh no, but COVID struck. So 2017, 2018, 2019, the numbers were good. 2020, COVID struck. There is global inflation all over the world. Prices have skyrocketed, okay? And so the inflation we are witnessing, it's not peculiar to Ghana. It's all over. And after COVID, when we lost our our credit rating, and we couldn't go to the international capital market, it was a difficult period, 2021, 2022. But what has happened after 2022? when inflation had gone to 54 and the rest, and our currency was just depreciating all over. Now, I think the numbers are good. We've turned the corner. And so I would say that if I look at countries like Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe, Zambia and others, and what we're able to do for the economy not to tank as a way, we have to give him some credit.
But if we even break it into two, as you say, the first time I agree that we're in an IMF program, so we concluded in 2018.
2019, April
Fine.
2019, yeah.
But if you look at the deficit in 2020, that cyclical election-based deficit, it was massively huge under the 2020. So even the conclusion of the first term, which was supposed to be good. And don't forget, the deficit is at the basis of everything. That huge deficit, it can be argued, was the beginning of all the problems in 2022. So even the first term that you say was good did not end well.
But when I said the first term was good, I was cutting off at 2019.
Oh, why?
Because COVID struck in March 2020.
But it didn't strike every country. It struck every country.
Yes.
So why is Ghana among only 4 African countries to go to debt relief in that period after 2020? Are we the only? I mean, the point is,
we must have panicked in our solutions at addressing the pandemic. Some of these lockdowns, if we look back, did we have to really lock down some of these free things that we doled out?
But that's leadership decision.
Yeah, but
lockdown, doling stuff out, leading to a huge deficit. That's economic. That's why we voted for you, to be economic management. So if your management economy is panic based and we have a huge deficit, you can't blame COVID. It's your reaction to COVID. It's not COVID.
But I was looking at my citizenry. Would I rather see them die? We're seeing numbers in Spain and Italy every morning, in the US, millions of people dying. So we were the first country to have begun testing at airports, all that we did. So we were looking at, we solved COVID with a human face, and then in the end, it was a twin thing, the health side and then the economy side. So,
well, Mark, there's a whole problem there, because even with COVID, post-COVID audit showed that there was expenditures which was not justified, which is why the Auditor General, in fact, one of the preconditions for the IMF support was to audit COVID expenditures. So you say you were saving Ghanaians, but for many people, it was basically a chance to misspend and even loot.
I've admitted here that it is the spending, that the over expenditure that drives all the mess. So how do we rein in spending going forward? I think there was some bit of panic in addressing the pandemic, and looking back, we might have acted differently.
Well, I don't know if Ghanaians will accept that, but fair enough. But even 2021 going to 2022, the economies, December 2022 was probably the worst economic year in living memory for many people below 60. And I don't know what you will say as a candidate who's an economy candidate to explain to Ghanaians why all the things that happened to them happened. Inflation reached the mid-50s, exchange rate tanked, the economy's CD to dollar exchange rate was close to 12. And then after that, the debt exchange took people's money. Multidimensional poverty went very high. People's lives have been destroyed in 2 years after COVID. And this is still under the same person who now says he has new ideas. You need to explain to people why they should trust you on the basis of what you've put them through in the economy.
So this school of thought that if you are vice president, are you really in charge? When it's we want to put everything at his doorstep, But you and I know that people like Kanoforiata ran the show, even though he was vice president. What is his day-to-day mandate, as it were, So he's saying that now, give me the opportunity.
Yeah, but you said he was the head of the economic management team.
Economic management team.
I mean, if somebody is managing an economic team and the economy is not doing well, who should we blame?
Bernard, you know that the economic management team is a creation of a president. But it is not on our books. So that tomorrow...
But you campaigned with it. It was a campaign. They
tomorrow,
said they had the economic goals to manage the economy.
Yeah, but the first 3 years, I agree they did a good job.
But it's the same team. It's the same team that gave us a deficit in 2020, despite your COVID explanation. Same team that led us into 2022, July to December, economic catastrophe. Same team.
Same team that is turning the corner right now.
So the vice president, the finance minister, and then the economic ministries, trade, agri, transport, and then the senior minister. That's the team that was sold to us as the guys who are coming to solve our economic problems. And I remember Safmafu say, under the leadership of Dr. Bawumia. So it's very clear that that's their track record. We can't run away from that.
Yes, but so we've gone through phases in the economy. The first 3 years were good. The next 3, not so good. Now, the numbers are looking good. Investors are looking to Ghana again. There's opportunity to go back to the international capital market. So they are not stupid, you know. They must have realized that something good is happening on the ground. That's why people are turning their attention back to Ghana. The Ghana story, regardless of what people will say, is still exciting, and so people are still looking at.
But we live here, so they may tell you the numbers are good because they want to lend to you more. And you know that the debt is at the basis of this. So going back to the capital market doesn't even necessarily mean that you've turned the corner, because you know that one of the problems we face is the high levels of Eurobond debt. All right? So if you're going back to the capital market, this is non-concessionary. How is that necessarily a good thing?
But you can only go back if your ratings improve. If your ratings improve, and the outlook now is heading in the positive direction. So I'm not saying that I will jump into the capital market again so soon, but things are improving. And let's not forget that the government built infrastructure. There's been social interventions, you know. People are still benefiting somewhat. LEAP, the aged, they get stipends every now and then. So it is not a gloomy story altogether.
But I want you to separate people's pockets from the numbers. And I'll give you a last example. You saved $12 billion in the domestic debt exchange, $5 billion from bilaterals, $13 billion from Eurobond. So you can say you've saved $30 billion.
No. The Eurobond in total was $13 billion.
$13 billion.
And the saving from there is, I think, 5.1.
What I know is that the bilateral was 5.1.
Yes.
And domestic was 12. And what Amin said to us was 13. That's what I heard him say.
Okay, but the
so even, let's assume it's even 20 billion. My point is the economy could have saved 20 billion, but people's pockets have lost money. So we don't just look at the economy from the basis of what you've quote unquote saved by giving me a haircut to what I've put in a bank or put in a fund management company, giving me a lower interest return on it by no fault of mine, changed my terms from amortized to what you call mark to market, and then go and say, well, the fundamentals are good, so clap for me. You've impoverished me. So I'm not going to accept that as an investor. I'm not going to accept that.
But respectfully, the debt exchange was voluntary.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What was the alternative?
If you didn't sign, you would still be getting whatever was due you.
But that was corporately voluntary. So a lot of people who invested in fund management companies didn't have a choice. It was a take it or leave it. So maybe the company could take it or the company could opt. But once I've signed up for a company, personally I had no choice.
So that some financial education, because when you are purchasing a bond and you go through the CSD and get a CSD number, technically you are identified as an individual in that corporate pool. So then that's why your bank was calling you to come sign up. And you could have elected not to.
But there's no alternative. So if I elected not to, will I be paid?
Yes. People are still getting their 30%, 28%.
Really? So those of us who were giving a cut, you know, I was at the heart of this. I don't agree with what you're saying. I do understand that people who had CSD numbers, if you go and apply for a balance fund at EcoBank Development Corporation, EDC, or Data Bank, you are not you don't have an option. Once the fund that you are part of has been given a haircut, you suffer the haircut.
Yeah, because that one at the outset.
But that's where majority of Ghanaians are. Very few individual bondholders exist. So the large majority of Ghanaians lost their money. That's the fact.
So here is an opportunity for us to also then educate people that in future, if you want to hold government paper, maybe go in your own skin, and then.
But you need a certain level minimum threshold to do that, and most Ghanaians don't have a lot of savings to do this. So the point I'm making, by the way, and this also damages confidence in the financial sector. So if I am an investor who gave money to a fund management company and I've had a haircut, once the person loses confidence in the financial sector, it's going to be difficult for the financial sector to even do financial intermediation in the manner we're supposed to do. So my point is that this is actually very, very serious. So to say that you've saved the country money, the numbers are looking good, doesn't necessarily mean that individuals are better.
So how about this? When government did a financial sector cleanup, and then they made every depositor whole. You remember?
They made every depositor
whole. You got all your money back, in the financial sector cleanup. When banks could, savings and loans, microfinance and couldn't pay, when investments matured, the government stepped in and paid.
But yeah, that's true, but not all of them. Gold Coast customers are still not being paid.
Because they are in court.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so
it's not every customer.
Yeah, but I'm saying then give government credit over there too, because you are saying now, here there was a haircut, but then it wasn't their responsibility as a way, because you elected to go put your money in a microfinance, get a return of 35, 40%, whatever. And then when things went sour, government said, well, here am I.
It's a difficult sell. We'll come back and see if we can make some progress there. Assibey-Yeboah, Doc, economist, head of the economic manifesto team for Dr. Bawumia, and he's telling us some of the things his party will do through their flag bearer. We'll look at some of those when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is The Point of View. My guest, Dr. Assibey-Yeboah, former MP for New Jobbing South, chairman of Finance Committee in the 7th Parliament that ended in 2021, and of course now leading the team that wrote the economic plan for Dr. Bawumia. We basically try to find out whether the man can carry the economic message. He's explaining the digital side of the economy point. Fair enough. Now, you've said to me that the digital economy is the next level. I understand this, right? But this is a final point on back, Doc, do you think that he deserves to be more open to Ghanaians to say, look, things didn't quite turn out as I expected, so give me another chance. People don't seem to get any apologetic view. Yes, we're in a campaign season, you have to tell us what you're going to do. But to the extent that, for example, the exchange rate was at the center of the campaign, right? If somebody tells you that when you took over power, it was 4 cedis to $1, today it's close to 17. I mean, obviously, there has to be some sort of, I won't call it apology, some admission to Ghanaians that we were not able to deliver all we promised in this economy issue. But we don't seem to get that.
Yeah, but that's why I pointed you to infrastructure, social spending, it's the economy, agriculture, planting for food, the economy in its entirety. And if I should run through, we've done this, that's not what I've come here to do, So we have to be forward-looking. Are you suggesting that in 7.5 years, the NPP has not delivered? People are happy with.
You sure?
Oh, those who have enjoyed the free SHS, they are queuing up to vote for the NPP. You might take it for granted. Of course, well, I don't know, when we were precinct, we were not paying anything. I don't know what
we paid a little.
Yeah, so, but these things mean a whole lot to people. When I was MP, every MP's major tax is payment of school fees. School fees all over. People come to you on a daily basis, school fees, school fees, school fees. So,
but can you justify the... So I agree, free SHS is a game changer. Nobody can doubt this. Yeah. And we know where the money came from. But some was petroleum funds. Now, you yourself, as an NPP, have admitted that the economy increased from 50 to 70 billion, by 20 billion,
Yes.
in the term that you were in office. Okay. But the problem with this is that borrowing also increased from 120 billion cedis to over 700 billion. So free SHS may be big and bad, and I use bad in American sense, but you can't say that that level of borrowing justifies free SHS alone. There's other things.
But before the 120, where were we?
Probably around 80.
No. Before the 120, when Kufuor was leaving.
That was HIPIC. No, but Kufuor's HIPIC was first term.
No, I'm saying that when
2004.
Kufuor was leaving office,
Yeah.
the debt stock was 9.5 billion. 9.5 billion.
Our first foray to the Eurobond market was in 2007, and that was $750 million.
I'm not talking about the Eurobond borrowing. I'm talking about the debt stock.
But the Eurobond is part of the debt stock.
Yeah, but I'm saying that your 120 to 700.
Yeah.
Before the 120 was 9.5. At the
9.5 what?
Billion cedis, Ghana cedis.
And I'm saying that in 2007, we went to the Eurobond market for $750 million. So that 9 billion cannot be correct.
It's correct because that 750 million at the time was 750 million cedis.
The deficit after Kufuor left in 2008 was
The
close
debt,
to 7%. The deficit.
I'm talking about the debt.
Yeah, but deficit is basically the difference between
Bernard,
what you...
Bernard,
No, I know the difference.
No, respectfully, I
Yeah.
know that this is all over. The debt stock at the end of 2008 was 9.5 billion Ghana cedis. The debt stock.
Good.
Then the NDC moved it to 122 billion by the end of 2016, which you have referenced.
Yes, and now it's 760 billion.
But these are nominal numbers. In percentage terms, do you know the increase now? The increase now is only 520%.
520 is only...
The 9.5 to the 122 was 1,200%.
But I'm pitching that against the growth in the GDP. Because if you're looking at the increase in debt stock, you must match it against something.
Yeah, but I'm saying that even when we didn't have free SHS and all the goodies, the debt stock increased by over 1,200%. So if now it's gone up by 500% and people, we have something to show. You know, for me, if we are able to redistribute the national wealth in this way, it's a good thing. Because there are some people who might never get their share of the cake.
But that's why you economists use debt to GDP. So I think it's better to say, if you want to really assess the health of an economy, don't just look at the absolute number.
Oh, so you brought the nominal numbers.
Yes, to show.
Yes.
So, but debt to GDP,
yes, so
as of 2023, is still over 75%.
Yes, because
now, and it got close to even 90.
No, yeah, but because of all of the expenditure that came post-COVID, you know, the COVID expenditure, I've said there was some panic in there. Some of the things we did with the benefit of hindsight we might not do, but let's look at it in its totality. All that the government has done in 7.5 years, they built interchanges. The one is going to be commissioned, the Flower Port one, on Monday. These are good things that it will ease traffic. And look at the Accra Kumasi one they are working on, your Temamoto way. You know, these are things.
I like the way you say my Temamoto way. I talk about it a lot.
Yeah, so let's give the government some.
So if you look at the resources the government has had and what it has built, you think it has been judicious in using those resources?
So earlier, I said that it is the over expenditure that derails everything.
Yeah.
So for me, how do we tighten all those loose ends? Okay. Let us not create new debt. Let us take care of, for instance, the IPPs, pay contractors, clear arrears, so that, for instance, in the new term, whoever is president, in education and health, let us not build any new infrastructure. Finish all the Agenda 111, all the stored projects, you know. Let us not create new debt, at least in the first term, and just finish all.
But we are creating a lot of new domestic debt. We are borrowing excessively from the treasury bill market. Yeah. So whilst we're solving the external debt problem, we're creating new debt.
Yeah, so how do we get to the next level where the debt is not building up at a faster rate? You know, the debt will grow, but how do we slow down growth in the debt?
Is Dr. Bawumia able to influence economic policy during the campaign period? I'm asking this in two ways. For example, he's been very clear in the manifesto that you have that he would abolish the e-levy, all right? Which many people said was a bad idea. Some people think that to prove his commitment, if he believes that the e-levy is counterproductive, which a lot of people believe it is, there should be some show of commitment by abolishing it now. You don't say we should vote for us, vote for me, then I would abolish it.
Yeah, but let's look at his track record. He's on record to have spoken against e-levy in an interview on Peace FM earlier when he said that he...
Prior to its coming?
Yes. And then we have been told lately by Kojo Nkrumah that our cabinet, he spoke against it. That one, I can't put any value on it. I wasn't there, but I don't want to doubt him. Why would he come and say? So he actually believes in it. Personally, in putting together the manifesto, I told him that now we are raking in about 1 billion cedis from e-levy right now. So if you take it off, there's going to be some shock to the system. So let's leave it in for, and he was vehemently opposed to it. No.
Because it undermines his digital economy. Because the digital economy is based on people wanting, among other things, to remove from cash to cash light.
Yeah.
And once they get in the ecosystem and they get used to it, the revenue comes. So it's almost like the e-levy came to kill that progress.
So he has credibility on this one, that he's going to do away with it. But when you are vice president, there might even be ministers who are more powerful than you, depending on their associations with the president and their lobbying, and So he says he's going to run his government with 50 ministers. Does it mean he should go and tell the president that reduce the number of your ministers to 50 right now for Ghanaians to know that, yes, I'm really bent on seeing this through?
Does he hold no sway? Some people feel like the new team the president appointed in the last 6 months, a lot of those people are the fresh faces. The current finance minister, the current minister for various sectors, roads. These are the Baumia people.
No. The finance minister had always been around. He was deputy minister for energy and later minister of state. Remember, when Charles Assibey-Yeboah had to step aside, he came to the Ministry of Finance as minister of state in January 2023. So
he's still pursuing an Akufo-Addo agenda?
He's an Akufo-Addo appointee to all intents and purposes. The roads minister, Asenso, had always been with Akufo-Addo, even prior to him becoming president. And, I cannot put a handle on something and say this is a Baumia appointee.
But if a government's last budget in its second term cannot reflect the views of its flag bearer, who is the vice president and an economist, that says a lot about how synced his ideas and his boss's ideas are. Because, you can't tell me that you've promised so many tax. I've gone through the manifesto.
Yes.
There are quite a number of tax plans. And I'm saying to you, even in your last budget that Amin read, can't you implement even 3 of them to show us that there's a transition to a new team? It's still all Akufo-Addo ideas?
Because
that is unfathomable.
It's an Akufo-Addo budget. The budget is read on behalf of the president. It's an Akufo-Addo budget. I'm rather looking forward to the Baumia budget in March 2025 to see that he gives meaning to all of these things that he's talking about. Everybody has their vision. I'm sure if you were president tomorrow, there are things you would aggressively pursue, which might be, even here, I'm sure when you are MD or CEO, there are things you will change, So you advise, you campaign on some, but they don't get done.
Yeah, but I accept the decisions for the collective.
Yes, so that he's not running away.
And it's part of my track record, even if I wasn't the boss.
Yeah, but Mayor's not running away from the NPP's record. Matter of fact, he details what we've done in 7.5 years in here, and there's collateral responsibility, and he takes responsibility for.
But will that NPP record be enough to get him elected?
So put the NPP record side by side the NDC's record, because that's where the fight is.
And then you adjust it against people's expectations.
But
because it's not in a vacuum. Because a lot of politicians who come and sit here tell me it's NPP versus NDC. That's what it's been for 30 years.
Yeah.
But it's both of you against what people want. And there are other people on the ballot too.
Yeah, but when I go around the country, I see people who are excited about voting for the NPP. There are a lot of youth who, for the first time, are going to get opportunity to express their appreciation for the free SHS that they have enjoyed and all the other beautiful things they are seeing. So, yes, there's the social media politics and the things that run around and people share and people are commenting, but it's a different ballgame.
But when you go around your constituency, do you not feel that people are hard done in the economy? I mean, you will know because, yes, you've spoken about free SHS and the relief is brought, but equally, these are difficult economic times. Inflation has been very high for a long time, started coming down recently. Ghana is almost a dollarized economy, so when exchange rate goes up, all imports go up. So you do know that cost of living is high. And statistical surveys have shown various things, multidimensional poverty, unemployment rate is double what it was when you took over. These are heavy numbers. So you can't say it's just a social media issue. There are real economic challenges facing the people on the ground.
Which is why he's proffering solutions in the next phase. And I'm saying that post-December 2022, the management of the economy has been better. December 2022. All the way, when you talked about inflation, 54% and all that, the exchange rates, now things are improving. You know, and these numbers don't swing like a pendulum overnight. It takes time to trend, you know. And I'm seeing that if we get to the next phase and we rein in spending, like I'm saying, and do the hardball things that he's talking about. Yeah.
Okay, let's deal with some. But you've promised a lot of things. So what I need you to clarify and align is your big idea in terms of the economy has been spending, and I agree with you. But there's been a lot of promises that, both in the manifesto and on the field, Dr. Bawumia is promising, which some would say would probably worsen the overspending.
Those in the pipeline, the free SHS, teacher training allowances, these are not new.
But there are lots of new promises. I mean, promises around, you know, the 50,000 CCTV cameras to boost security in Ghana.
Are you not excited about that one?
Then there's going to be free dialysis care.
But that's good.
For
Bernard, that is good. You know.
So. Don't forget there was even one constituency, 1 million in the previous administration,
but that's not here.
Which hasn't even materialized.
But that's not here. That was in the past. That's not in this new manifesto.
But there are a lot of promises. Maybe you have it in front of you. I could mention so many more.
The point is, you have to be in my position. See, I speak on the economy.
$10 million annually to Prospect for Minerals, to the Geological Survey Authority. Almost every sector has a promise that has financial implications.
Yes, but that's how a budget is set up. Because once you have a budget and you are rolling out programs, it's going to cost money. But where do you take money from? And how do you direct
Free tertiary education for PWDs if elected.
Yeah, how many of them? People with disabilities. It's not a bad thing, and it's not going to cost a whole lot because there are not a lot of people with disabilities. And
then a lot of taxes he says is going to cut.
Which one?
And reduce. A lot of taxes is going to
reduce.
He
said the E-levy will go, and then he's also talked about the betting tax, environmental taxes, these ones. But other than that, I'm not seeing any. He said he's going to give a tax amnesty. Now, those who enjoy a tax amnesty are not already paying. So it's not a cost per se, because the person is not paying their taxes. That's why they are getting a tax amnesty. But it's a voluntary disclosure. So you have to come forward and disclose that, okay, if I'm going to be forgiven of all these taxes, blah, blah, blah. So I think these policies have been well thought through, and let's
But where are the resources going to come from? We know that in the middle of an IMF program, stabilization is key. In fact, some of the IMF policies are considered inherently anti-growth. So some of the taxes they ask you to implement, yes, you have to rein in expenditure. A lot of the things he wants to do depend on growth, and the growth projections are not that necessarily high. So I'm trying to understand how on one hand you are reining in spending, and yet you are stimulating enough growth to deliver the kind of promise you're promising?
So our annual budgets that we implement, mind you, that the external debt exchange and the domestic debt exchange has brought a big relief to government. So monies that hitherto, you talked about $20 billion over time. So if the spending thereof per year would have been even $2 billion, think about it.
At the beginning of this interview, you said that if you are to summarize the new paradigm is the digital economy. We've already dealt with what people have said about whether this is really a cop-out or it's actually serious. When we come back, I want you to explain to me how that would change people's lives and why people should believe in digital economy. This is the point of view. Stay with us. Welcome back. The point of view tonight is speaking to Dr. Assibey-Yeboah, who is the head of Dr. Bawumia's economic manifesto team. As you know, manifestos have different components: agric, economy, education, social sector, and all of that. He is a former chairman of the Finance Committee in Parliament, two-time MP for New Joabeng South, who, by the way, admonished the Akufo-Addo government to go to the IMF much earlier than they eventually did in July of 2022. A lot of people said if they are listening to him, we probably would have had a better deal because there were facilities available that other countries went for, that our hesitance cost us. And I know you probably say your boss also thought the same, because there was a lot of brouhaha around IMF, yenko. By the time the president sent that statement through Kojo Nkrumah, July, some people felt it was a bit late. Do you know if the vice president thought we should have gone earlier too?
Let me let this one pass.
But just a quick one. How do you intend to navigate the IMF program? Because we are in the middle of it, so we still have a year and a half to go.
Yes.
So does this manifesto admit that for at least a year and a half, there's nothing much anybody can do?
So it's the budgets are really what gives meaning to the policies and programs. Unfortunately, in an election year, we don't present budgets so that the new government gets the opportunity to do it. So in the March
2025 budget,
whoever takes over, that's where we'll see the imprints of the IMF program, not in the manifesto per se, because you have to run the budget by them.
I get it.
Seek their approval for a lot of things.
So we can assume that for at least a year and a half, the budget is rigid until we come out of the IMF program. So pretty much whoever wins till 2025, maybe July, there isn't much degrees of freedom.
But the degrees of freedom come in from your saving, from not servicing the debt.
Okay.
This is huge. It's like the HIPIC in the Kufuor era, where you saw projects that this HIPIC projects, because they, at the time they directed that the saving thereof go into education, health, blah, blah, blah. But now, there are not specific areas that you have to spend, but in the real sense of the word, you are making a saving, and then that saving, now you should invest in your economy, So there's some space for whoever is taking over because in the debt service, you read these budgets, you see the debt servicing cost in the budget. So essentially, it's coming down because it's your revenue versus your expenditure, and your expenditure has wages and salaries, debt servicing, And so this is your debt servicing. If you were doing, say, 40 billion a year, now maybe it's 20 billion. So there's some space there for.
Some people think we need structural transformation away from our three, and let me use the exports as an example: cocoa, gold, hydrocarbons. At least since I started economics, it was cocoa and gold, timber. Now it's cocoa, gold, hydrocarbons, and timber, our main exports. I don't want to go back to 8 years, whether we're going to change that or not. But how does Dr. Bawumia intend to change that structure? Because Asset & Co will tell you that what Ghana needs is structural transformation.
Yeah, I think in essence, our cocoa, our gold, hydrocarbons, they are not going to go away.
Okay.
So how do you put value on these?
Okay.
If you look at our gold or our minerals, for instance, it's the foreigners who benefit entirely. They just pay us their royalties and taxes here and there. So the manifesto proposes a minerals development bank working in tandem with MIF. So that just as we play in the oil sector, you know that GMPC gets some oil revenue, that they are able to invest so that when the Talos and the rest come, apart from government getting their royalties and their taxes, GMPC is also a player in there. So how do we do same in the minerals area? So that there's Newmont, but there's Ghana with, let's say, a 30% stake in whatever we are producing. So we become a player in there, not just the royalties and taxes that we get in the minerals area. So there's a gold find somewhere, and let's say gold fields, Ashanti Gold comes in there. We say, well, what is your investment outlay? Then we are also putting in money and saying that, okay, then 20% accrues to us. Then processing all of these, so refineries and all of those will be the next level, so that these hydrocarbons and cocoa and the rest, which will still be around, then we benefit some more.
Would there be a difference in your monetary policy under this? Because as you know, a lot of people have complained about the idea of just cutting the interest rates or raising the interest rates. So initially it was looking at amount of currency in circulation, and then from 2007 we started the so-called inflation targeting. Some people think that it's outlived its usefulness. Any new ideas on the monetary policy side in this manifesto or from your team?
So you would realize that the Bank of Ghana...
And by the way, he's a monetary economist, because if you read his book, he's a monetary economist.
I did monetary too. So
yeah.
So the Bank of Ghana has begun an asset purchase program.
Yeah.
They purchase gold.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they've done about 8.7 tons of gold. You know, the whole idea is to continue pursuing this program so that they build a huge reserve of gold. And that is the stage where now we are saying that we have sufficient gold to back our currency. Then we can start thinking of whether to leave this IT regime, the inflation targeting. So overnight you cannot.
So that's the solution.
Yes. So the gold purchase program. So
it's one way of going.
Yes. So we want to build. Countries have huge reserves. So why haven't we done so over time?
Okay.
With all the gold. So now we go out there from the small scale mines, and the Bank of Ghana purchases the gold from.
All right.
Yeah. So
we'll have to leave it here. Unfortunately, we have lost. Time is also a scarce resource, as you teach us in economics. Thank you, Dr. Assibey-Yeboah. He's the Vice President, you can call him the arrowhead on the Manifesto for Economy, and he's quite sure that the ideas there are worth your vote. So we wish you good luck. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.